whenever you get the machine in there, Merab Dvalishvili, he's such a fun fighter to watch for, the machine is the perfect example of a nickname that actually fits the fighter because that's what he is. I'm a big Cory Sandhagen guy, right? But when you saw him go up against an elite wrestler before, you can go back to the Aljo fight, it didn't work out very well for Sandhagen. So I wonder, is there anything that the model shows that as a $3 betting underdog, is it even tempting to take the Sandhagen side?
So as someone who has backed both guys, and sometimes I have to point that out because, lo and behold, someone listens to this and like, why are you crapping all over this one fighter?
Right.
I am not. Listen, I've been backing Sandhagen. I think he was underrated for a long time. Same as Merab. He was underrated for a long time. I've been backing them both. And here they are squaring off. So in context, look at what Merab has done in 4 title fight appearances. He's taken on a very slick long-range striker in Sean O'Malley. And that's someone who, while I may have faded him, I also acknowledge how good he is and how accurate he is at power striking. He is very gifted. He has one of the highest accuracies of power strikes of anybody in UFC history. Merab dealt with that. He was able to close the distance. He was able to change levels. So he's dealt with a great striker who is much bigger and rangier than he is. He has also dealt with an elite grappler in Usman Nurmagomedov. And that was another fight where I was all over Merab on that, and he came through in shining colors. So here's Cory Sandhagen. He's obviously more well-rounded, but he is not as good a striker as O'Malley. He is not as good a wrestler as Nurmagomedov. And, where does that leave us? Mathematically, it's a heavy lean on Merab. And it's similar to where I've been in the last few matchups. It's just earlier it was, well, what if the wrestling is stifled? Or what if O'Malley finds the button? This time it's going to just be high-paced, high-action, a battle of attrition, I think, but Merab has proven over and over that he can toss you around and he never gasses out. Now, Cory, to his credit, he trains at altitude. He has a gas tank too. These guys actually have very similar volume pace in terms of when they're at range. They have very high striking output. They're very busy. But if anything, I think that works against Cory Sandhagen. His takedown defense is about average. It's just that he's not always put on his back. He also uses wrestling. So I think that's a murky metric to look at. I think Dvalishvili will actually use his wrestling effectively in this matchup. I think it probably takes 5 rounds, but it's another Merab just on, unlimited gas tank, just going for it for 5 rounds.
So we mentioned that he's minus 380 to win the fight. The round prop for 4.5 rounds is minus 360. So you do that math here, Reed, and you want to find Dvalishvili here by decision, which is what the books are telling you that if you follow those 2 big favorites, you're only getting 225 at the discounted price for Merab via decision. I know you don't normally see a lot of finishing potential here on the Dvalishvili side. Is that even a plausible scenario to just lay the 380 versus taking the discounted price that he does it via decision?
Well, it depends on what type of gambler you are, obviously, where the limits are for you personally. I think the more particular play of Merab and the over or Merab by decision, that's a much better price. I mean, you're chopping that price way down. But if you look at the finishing potential to your question, Merab only has 1 knockdown scored in his entire career, and that's with 250 minutes of cage time. That's a long time to only have 1 knockdown. And in terms of submission rate, he spends a long time on the ground, but his rate of submissions is actually very low. So in terms of finishing potential on the Merab side, it's not really his style. It's really just he's beating people up, but he's not necessarily getting a finish. And so, that's why I really am on that steam side, I think, the chalk side here with Merab by decision.
In the co-main event, another title fight, potentially 5 rounds. Again, we talked about it with Reed. How do we get to the Sandhagen side? Is there any way to get to the Cory Sandhagen side as the $3 betting underdog?
This is where I align perfectly with Reed. There's just not much. And it's sad because Sandhagen's great.
Yeah.
His metrics are high. I match him up against anyone else in the model. He has the strong numbers. I was on him against Davis and Figueiredo. I think I had him parlayed or something like that because he was a huge favorite, but he gets that done, right? Merab just is so much better in all those metrics. And Reed pointed out, I think he's faced better versions of Cory Sandhagen, right? Sean O'Malley, Umar Nurmagomedov. I mean, he's just, the machine is the perfect name for him. I mean, you're talking about, so once again, Sandhagen, 71% XR percentage. That's fantastic. Unfortunately, Merab has an 81% XR percentage. So he dominates rounds. He doesn't just win fights, he dominates rounds, and we know why. And the surprising part for Merab is he's also good at the striking. Like his numbers don't fly off the page, but they stand up against the best. I mean, he lands 4.31 significant strikes per minute, 1.83 differential, as we mentioned on Monday. He's hard to hit. So he's absorbing less than 3 significant strikes per minute. Sandhagen, of course, slightly better at 5.06 landed per minute, 1.72 differential. So great numbers. But if that's not where the fight's going to stay, is that really going to work for Sandhagen? And he's, you know, Merab's fought guys with a reach before, so that's not really something we need to worry about. And even after the striking, we know exactly where this goes, and it's the wrestling and grappling. Merab with 97 career takedowns in the UFC. It's obviously the UFC record, which, by the way, I wrote down in here in my notes. Second place is Georges St-Pierre, GSP, one of the GOATs, with 90 takedowns. By the way, GSP had 7 more fights than Merab currently at his career. So Merab's rate of takedowns is just through the roof. And here's the crazy thing is it's not, you look at just the accuracy number, it's not great. Sandhagen has 35% takedown accuracy. Merab is only 36% takedown accuracy. But you're talking about 18 takedowns versus 97. It's the fact that he chains these takedowns together, right? He fails one and it turns into another and potentially another. And there you go down. I mean, he's averaging, he's attempting 9.44 takedowns per 5 minutes. That's a lot of work against the cage defensively. And he's landing about 3 per round.
I'm with you, and I want to get to the Sandhagen side, but that Aljamain Sterling fight sticks in my craw where, you know, he gets caught and he can't get out of it and gets submitted. I'm not saying Merab's going to be able to do that, but very quickly, when you're looking at a 380 betting favorite, 360 for the over 4.5, you can lower it down to 225 here if you want to go for Merab by decision. Do you get cheeky with it and try to play it by decision, or do you think I'll rather lay the bigger price point here, and if he does catch him like Aljo caught him, that maybe he can stop Sandhagen?
So for me, that -2, what'd you say, 220 for decision?
Yeah, 225.
You know, that's as much of a sweat considering Merab might catch him at some point.
Right.
And correct, he doesn't have a ton of finishes in his career, but he finished Sean O'Malley the second time they met. And I know this isn't the second time he's meeting Cory, but as you mentioned, he has a partner who has submitted Cory Sandhagen. And that was many years ago. I get that.
But it was relative ease, too.
Yes. And so if you're telling me, you know, when I was looking yesterday, I mean, Merab by submission plus 700. Now, that isn't something I'm saying go and bet the house on, but
oh, baby.
I think there's 2 ways for me to play this. There's a couple huge favorites on this card that I also like, that the model likes, and everything is through the roof for Merab here. He's an A+ favorite in my model. He's strong. It's an easy parlay anchor for me.
Yep.
But if I really want to play and get a little frisky, I don't know, that plus 700 by submission I would rather sweat that than -220 on a decision.